Temat Adolfa. Oj, niebezpieczny temat. No co, Fern wrzucił nowy filmik, więc sobie obejrzymy wizualizację tego, jak planowano się pozbyć pana malarza.
Adolf Hitler is giving a speech in a beer hall in Munich. Right behind him in the column, a bomb has been hidden away.
Co ty
And
opowiadasz?
it is about to go off. The German carpenter and Nazi opponent Georg Elser has planned this moment for months. He knew Hitler would be here tonight. He knew when exactly the Führer would give a speech.
Genialne.
Elser installed explosives with a time fuse. At exactly 9:20 p.m., his bomb is supposed to detonate. The explosion causes the entire ceiling above the podium to collapse. 63 people get injured, 8 die. But Hitler isn't one of them.
Ja pierdzielę, jak on
He
to
left the beer
przeżył?
hall earlier than expected at 9:07 p.m.
Co?
Georg Elser failed. But
Ale
this was
on
just one of many attempts to
Gość
assassinate.
mógł być totalnym bohaterem, który skończył wojnę, ale Adolf musiał na papieroska wyjść.
But this was just one of many attempts to assassinate Hitler. One of almost 40. Today we take a look at some of the most spectacular plans to rid the world of the Nazi leader. Why
Co
did they
jest?
all fail? How did he keep getting away? Was Hitler just that lucky?
Ja
Or-
wiedziałem, że było wiele prób pozbawienia go życia, ale nie wiedziałem, że aż tyle. Ale z drugiej strony można było się spodziewać, nie? Jeżeli wszyscy na niego patrzyli podczas tej wojny, wszystkie oczy były zwrócone w jego stronę, więc chcesz go wyeliminować, nie? Myślisz, że to faktycznie rozwiąże cały problem? Bo często, gdy pada dowódca, to jego luz również robi się słabszy. A kurde, ale niesamowite jest to, że on praktycznie wszystkie te próby przeżył.
Was there more to it?
Rozdział pierwszy, dwie
This
butelki.
is Henning von Tresco, a first general staff officer in the Wehrmacht. At first, he's a supporter of Hitler when he seizes power in 1933. But that will soon change. Tresco's turning point comes in 1941, when Germany attacks the Soviet Union. He thinks Hitler's invasion is military madness. He thinks they will lose the war. But Tresco also has moral concerns. He knows about the mass murder of Jewish people. He knows what the regime is doing. A resolve forms within him. He's convinced that this mad dictator must be stopped at all cost. And in spring of 1943, Tresco makes his move. He manages to persuade his commander-in-chief Günther von Kluge to invite Hitler to Smolensk in the Soviet Union. Here, Tresco is stationed, and the Führer agrees. On March the 13th, 1943, he makes a stopover in Smolensk on his flight from Vinnytsia to his headquarters in East Prussia. At lunch, Tresco asks Lieutenant Colonel Heinz Brandt, who is traveling with Hitler on the plane, for a favor. Brandt is to deliver a package containing 2 bottles of Control cognac to a friend of Tresco's in East Prussia.
Trucizna.
Tresco tells him that he lost a bet. Instead of 2 bottles of alcohol, however, the package contains a bomb with a detonator. Tresco wants to
Kurde,
feign
widzę, że mniej subtelne. Nie spodziewałem się tego. Myślałem, że trucizna czy coś, a tutaj... No dobra.
an airplane accident. His co-conspirator, Fabian von Schlabrendorf, secretly activates the time pencil and then hands the package to Brandt. The plane takes off at around 3 p.m.
Co ty
On board
opowiadasz, że
are
na sam...
Hitler, Brandt, and the bomb. The
Jak on to
bomb is
przeżył?
supposed to explode within an hour. Schlabrendorf set the timer by crushing a glass vial filled with a corrosive liquid in the time pencil. The airplane should crash at about the height of Minsk.
No. Ale...
But Hitler lands in his headquarters unscathed. Brandt had packed the package in the cold cargo hold. The acid detonator had frozen. Tresco immediately calls Heinz Brandt and tells him that he accidentally gave him the wrong package. The next day, Schlabrendorf flies to East Prussia, exchanges the package with 2 bottles of cognac, and defuses the bomb. Producing videos like this one takes a lot of time, and we actually deal with math and science quite a bit while building 3D
Szczerze?
scenes.
Zarąbiste są
And
te
to
materiały.
approach such challenging
Wizualnie.
subjects is brilliant. Brilliant is a platform that helps you
Dobra,
learn new
dobra.
Tresco's assassination attempt failed, but he didn't get caught either. In fact, he was part of a sworn circle of military resistance fighters determined to kill Hitler,
Ruch
and they
oporu.
were far from giving up. A key figure in the group was Lieutenant Colonel Klaus Schenk Graf von Stauffenberg. Over the years, he became the head of the military conspiracy. Tresco and Stauffenberg were close companions, and they were always looking for a new opportunity to eliminate the Führer. They didn't have to wait for long.
Spojrzałem na napisy dopiero i zobaczyłem wyeliminować furę. W sumie bawi.
Fast forward 9 months. This is Axel Freiherr von dem Busche. He's an officer, almost 2 meters tall, blonde, and has blue eyes. He truly embodies the Nazi ideal. This appearance is supposed to provide him with the perfect opportunity to kill Hitler. Von dem Busche and a group of other soldiers are to present the new Wehrmacht's uniform to Hitler at his headquarters.
Pokaz mody.
Von dem Busche plans to use a hidden British hand grenade to blow himself up along with the dictator. But then in Berlin, a railroad wagon is destroyed by an Allied bomb.
Aha.
It contained the new uniforms. No uniforms, no presentation.
Ja
The
pierdzielę.
meeting is postponed. By then, von dem Busche isn't an option anymore. Just 1 month earlier,
Nie,
he
no
was
przecież to jest materiał na film komediowy. Chłop oszukiwał przeznaczenie co chwilę. O co tu chodzi?
seriously wounded. One of his legs had to be amputated. Instead, Stauffenberg now wants the 21-year-old Lieutenant Ewald Heinrich von Kleist to trade his life for Hitler's death. The young lieutenant takes his time to think about it and agrees. Von Kleist is ready to do the job and prepares. But
Poświęcić
Hitler
się chce.
cancels the appointment on
Bohater.
short notice. On July 7th, 1944, the presentation of the new Wehrmacht uniforms finally takes place at a castle near Salzburg. This time, Major General Helmut Stief is chosen as the assassin. He too is part of the resistance group. The odds of success are extremely high. An explosion at that distance is nearly unsurvivable.
No.
It's the perfect opportunity. Then, at the last minute, Stief hesitates and backs out.
Czemu?
Sure, he wants to see Hitler dead, but he isn't willing to sacrifice his life for it.
Ja pierdzielę, frajer.
Yet, the group around Stauffenberg doesn't give up. They plan a new attack. This time, Stauffenberg wants to do it himself. He aims not only to kill Hitler, but also to bring down the entire Nazi regime in one coordinated strike.
Oho!
In the early morning of July 20th, 1944, Stauffenberg and First Lieutenant Werner von Heften fly from Berlin to the Führer's headquarters. Stauffenberg is to report on the Eastern Front at a meeting with Hitler. It presents the perfect opportunity for Stauffenberg. He plans to arm 2 bombs in his briefcase, place it near Hitler during the meeting, and leave the room before the bombs go off. Then he plans to fly back to Berlin, where he and other resistance fighters plan to take over power after Hitler's
Dobry
death.
plan.
At the Führer's headquarters, Stauffenberg learns that the time of the meeting
Chłopy normalnie mu przy nogach cały czas jakieś bomby kładą, a ten normalnie im spierdziela. Przecież to jest niesamowite.
has been changed. Due to a visit of the Italian dictator Benito Mussolini, it is moved forward by half
Oj,
an hour.
Mussolini mu KW.
At around 12:15, Stauffenberg pretends to want to change his shirt. Together with Heften, he wants to secretly activate the time fuse for the bomb before the meeting begins. But they get interrupted and told to hurry not to be late for the meeting. Therefore, they can only arm one of the 2 explosives.
Nie.
So Stauffenberg doesn't
Ale
pack
dalej
the
jest
second
nadzieja.
one and leaves it with Heften. He then
Dalej jest
enters the
szansa.
meeting. He puts his briefcase down near his target at the end of the table. Hitler and the bomb are now separated by only about 1.3 meters. Stauffenberg gives his report and then immediately leaves the room, supposedly to make an important phone call. Everything is going according to plan. A few minutes later, Hitler leans over the table to further discuss war strategy, and the bomb detonates.
Chyba sobie jaja
Stauffenberg
robisz.
watches the explosion from 200 meters away and is certain. Hitler is finally dead. He flies back to Berlin with Heften to continue Operation Valkyrie. They plan to blame the SS and the Gestapo for Hitler's death. Then they want to take power and put an end to the
Już ma szampana otwierają. No to nieźle.
Nazi dictatorship. But Operation Valkyrie failed.
I co się stało?
In the meeting room, the pressure wave caused the ceiling to collapse, and there's now a gaping hole in the floor where the briefcase once stood. The loud explosion ruptured the eardrums of almost everyone present. 4 people die, almost all of the others are injured. Only 2 people got off lightly. One of them is Adolf Hitler. The fact that Hitler leaned over the table during the explosion saved his life. He was only thrown slightly upwards by the force of the explosion. If Stauffenberg had also placed a second bomb
Nie, to jest taka trampoza.
in his briefcase, the explosion probably also would have
Oglądasz to tak, jakbyś nie wiedział, jaki będzie finał? No wiesz, ale kurde, dalej jednak masz takie, no ale jak to nie wyszło? No jak?
killed Hitler. With the failed assassination attempt on Hitler, the planned coup to end the Nazi regime also fails only a few hours later. Stauffenberg and the 3 other main plotters are shot that very night in the courtyard of the Blender block. Those are the headquarters of the General Army Office, and it was the heart of military resistance. 200 other co-conspirators also get executed. It is the last known attempt to assassinate Hitler. On April the 30th, 1945, Hitler committed in the Führerbunker in Berlin.
Skurczybyk nawet nie dał
Why
się
did
zabić, no
Hitler
co za
survive
frajer.
again and again? In old photos and video recordings, we almost always see Hitler walking around alone. That was part of his image as an invincible, untouchable dictator. But in reality, Hitler had made many precautions to protect himself. He had many highly trained bodyguards. A special security service checked all routes and locations meticulously before Hitler arrived. His whereabouts were top secret. He was always well protected when he traveled by train, car, or plane. He had his own pilot and cook. He always had his meals tasted by his personal doctor before he started eating.
Ty, to jest dokładnie to samo, co Putin robi. Szczerze mówiąc, no podobieństwo jest uderzające, ale...
All to minimize the risk of an assassination. Besides these security precautions, Hitler pursued a special tactic. He allegedly once said, "Das einzige Gegenmittel ist ein unstetes Leben," which means the only antidote is an unsteady life. He often changed his routes, cancelled trips at short notice, came earlier to meetings than planned, or left events earlier than expected.
Ale zobacz, że wystarczy jeden misstep, będąc takim dyktatorem, żeby ktoś cię załatwił, nie? Jedno wystawienie się gdziekolwiek. Właśnie, nie wiem, spróbowanie samemu od razu posiłku zamiast danie tego komuś. I akurat, wiesz, będzie zatrute czy coś. Jedna mała pomyłka, jedno omsknięcie. Cały czas musisz mieć oczy dookoła głowy, jeżeli jesteś w takiej pozycji. I skurczybyk miał te oczy dookoła głowy.
We don't
A
know
nawet jak nie miał, to miał farta.
if and how a successful assassination would have changed Germany's history. What would have happened if Hitler had just stayed 13 minutes longer in the beer hall in 1939? Could millions of Jews have been saved if one of almost 40 recorded attempts would have succeeded? Or would someone else in the regime simply have taken his place?
Nigdy się nie dowiemy.
We'll never know.
No. Fajny film. Ciekawy strasznie. Czy to nie jest tak, że ci najgorsi ludzie żyją najdłużej?